Welcome to the CEO of Destiny podcast, where you will find the tools to fulfill the purpose of your generation and wildly succeed in the marketplace. And now your host, Andre J. Benjamin.
That's cool. So then that plays as well into how you started to determine and know your own worth and your value, right?
Mm-hmm.
You started to know your worth and what it was that you would, okay, this is how much I'm charging for this, because you started to attach value. Can you take us through that process? Because people have a lot of psychology around, they don't want to put I don't know. And, this almost like devaluation and false humility, or maybe it's genuine humility, but it's also a low self-value,
Well, this is where it's really nice. I'm part of SAG-AFTRA, and the union sets the rates.
Good.
So, and the talent agents are doing stuff now, are supporting that. So the values were already set.
Absolutely.
So that made it a lot easier. People who are non-union then saying, where am I coming from? They have rates that they're basing it on now that have been established, but still it's the way I describe it to the students. You can either do if I'm casting you and you're a beginner, I will pay you less, not because I don't value you, but because I have to pay someone else to do more editing on your work. So I have to balance the same amount of dollars. So I can either give the money to you and less to the people on the back end, or less to you and more on the people on the back end. Right. So that's how you value it. What are you providing so that what you have is easy to use rather than difficult?
What do you see as the future of the future of voice? Because it seems that a lot of things are moving to voice. When you have even the apps that people are using, the different things that some people really love these things in their home, talk to this, this turn on or whatnot, and then even I was a huge fan growing up of listening to radio, even though we had television. Now I was glued to the television, addicted to the television so much my parents made me pause on it, but I still would go to bed and have my own, and then I would turn on Larry King and I listened to some of that radio theater where people were acting, and it's the westerns, and I'm sitting there just imagining what it was like. And I almost feel that people are starting to go back to a place of the pendulum has swung back the other way, where people are starting to cultivate imagination again with just the power of voice. And what do you think about the future of where voice can go, and how basically is there a lot of opportunity for people with the podcasting and with even voicing for a lot of these different things coming out?
Well, I think that there are a lot more opportunities out there. I mean, just everything speaks, right? So but the thing that people are worried about, as I call it, the Jetson Syndrome. We've since the cartoon, the Jetsons, I mean, it was just so funny that they could talk to people on a TV screen.
Yeah.
Well, that was the future, because you couldn't do that.
No.
But then they had Rosie the robot, so we wanted robots. So robots are there, and AI voices and that sort of stuff. So it's, there's a lot of talk about how artificial intelligence and how the voices are being used to create that. So there's always going to be good performances. There's a lot of work that has to go into the technology of putting an AI voice out there. So it's not just me talking and then I record it and I edit and send it out. So for that hour, it's going to take a day, do that amount of work to make it sound good, typically, not always, but currently the way things work. So I think there will always be a lot of voice work because it's a major form of communication, and people are not reading as much. People want to listen.
It's true. People move more to, probably an explosion in audiobooks and things, even though hopefully people took the time that we had as the whole kind of world went through the modification to slow down and read. I love reading, as you can tell, but I think there's still a huge, as you put it, a huge opportunity for voice. What are some of the current projects that you're working on next, and how can people find and avail themselves of the different ways that you put out for people to go through training and coaching? Because it's huge. And even in your own process, you talked about meeting with some of the pioneers and some of the people who are, you know, established, and how they helped in your process.
Yeah, when someone comes to me and they just want to work on becoming a voice actor, I send them to read the book, get the apps, and watch the podcast. I said, now that's going to shave off thousands of dollars.
Wow.
And your practice, but you got to practice it so that now we have a language. It's like, what I teach is sort of, I guess it comes from the music background. You have to learn the scales before you can play the song. And there are a few people who have good ear training, and that are just natural and can perform. Those are rare. Most people have to learn the scales. So once you have the scales, you can put together any tune, any job, but you got to have that foundation. Then we have to then work on how do you. So now, based on that, let's see how much you're in your head or in your body, how much you're trusting, because trust is the main issue. So then that's where I will just do private coaching, and then, you know, work on demos and produce that and help them get established in the business. If I'm working with a podcaster, it's sometimes it's about the team. How do you build the team so that it's all supportive? You might remember this one chapter about pitfalls, people, and problems. So, but I wrote that because the majority of people I was coaching would then say, well, I thought it was going to be 50-50, but it's become 70-30. How do I deal with this? Or I'm doing this, but I want to move to this next stage. So I work with them about how to get more funding, you know, how to then go out to look at their pitches and say your pitch is needs refinement, because I'm looking at it from an outside person, just going, but you're saying too much, and I don't know exactly what you want. I'm not getting the ask right away, and how that's going to benefit me. I think everything comes back to the person you're talking to. This has to benefit them, and it's not about us. We're just the vehicle of truth to help someone else.
It's big. It's big. So what are the websites they can find you at, and just some of the resources that you have available? Because you talked about your everything from the podcast to the apps to so where can people find you at?
Okay, that's good. Well, everything that they want to find is on my website, and that is ElaineClarkVO.com. So it's Elaine Clark without an E at the end of Clark, because the Brits are like, what, Clark without an E? How odd. So, but anyway, it's just, or you can type in realtalkingtips.com, and then that will also take you to the website, and then it shows my background, what I have to offer. The podcast is there with the blog and the audio, as well as the YouTube. You know, I have a YouTube channel. I'm, you know, on the various audio podcast sites. If they want to search for that, they can either search under Real Talking Tips or under Elaine Clark. Same thing in the app stores. You know, they can look for just Elaine Clark apps, and then both of the apps will show up there. So, and now, of course, the books are through Amazon. So both of them are through my Skyhorse Press, my publisher. So anyway, so everything is, but I just all compact on the website. If people just want to go to the website and just go, then it has the click-throughs right there. You know, that makes it easy, but you can go to any of those other places and find it. You know, it was kind of funny because, once again, organically, my publisher that did the third and fourth versions. This is the fourth version of There's Money Where Your Mouth Is. I was originally with Random House. Then I moved over. Then they had called me and said, we think you should write a book on podcasting. It's called Voiceovers for Podcasting. Are you interested? And I said, sure. So I did 100 hours of research on it. And then I thought, well, what would I want if I was developing it and using some of my radio sales and background in that about vertical and horizontal, formatting, and about, team building, and about some other things. And here's the technical stuff that everyone tells you, but I'm going to make it more about the creative approach to go about having a really cool podcast. So that you're just going to think from a creative standpoint rather than I'm just going to throw something out there. So anyway, so that's where that's how everything kind of evolves. And then people say, well, where's your podcast? I was like, you're right. I don't have one because I was busy. I ran a school for 32 years before selling it. And then I was directing and producing and coaching and acting, I just like my days were full and my family was going, can we see you anytime? Would be really nice. So now, so that's why I thought, well, part of it is just, let me just put this stuff out there because people still need the training of extra stuff. But if I can just make it easier and more affordable for people to get the foundation so that they can learn the scales, they can understand the stuff, and then say, am I doing it right? What am I missing? Because that's what I was, that's the hard part is knowing something, but knowing inside you that something is not quite clicking, or it used to click, but it doesn't click now because of age and life experiences and how the world is or whatever it is. How do we get past that little hurdle, which we all have in life?
I think that's spot on. One more question for you. Can you talk about some of the projects that you found that you worked on that were cool for you that you still kind of can nerd out about? Maybe it can be a toy or a game or a cartoon or something that you thought, well, I really enjoyed that. That was actually fun.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. Do us a favor. If this was useful in any way for you, please go to iTunes and leave us a review. Reviews will allow others to easily discover the podcast. If you'd like more information and to receive a free download, Rediscover Your Destiny, go to ceoofdestiny.com. Thanks again, and tune in next time.